welcome to my second lecture, that is classification of operating system. In our previous lecture we have already seen brief introduction about what is operating system, how we have defined operating system. We have seen some of the important basic definitions of operating system, like it is an interface, it acts as an interface between user and hardware, it is a system software, okay, and it must be loaded into main memory for execution inside the CPU. We have seen in brief about the different hierarchy of memory and some of the basic computer system organization. So in this lecture I am going to discuss about how an operating system and how many types of operating system are there, how we can classify different types of operating system, how many of them we are already using, how many of them is being used in the past. Okay, so let's start with the first operating system. The first, let's see how many types of operating system. You may find out some more types of operating system like distributed operating system, but I have tried to include all those basic types of operating system here. So first we will see about the mainframe operating system, then we will see server operating system, then we will see multi-processor operating system, and then multi-programming and time sharing operating system, though these two are little bit similar with a single small difference. And then handheld operating system, which generally are the which we can held in our hand, like mobile phones, PDAs and all. And then we are going to see sensor node operating system, what are real time operating system, how many types of real time operating system are there, and smart card operating system that we are using in our daily life while swiping some cards. Okay, so first let's start with the mainframe operating system. What is mainframe operating system? It is whenever you talk about a mainframe operating system, the first thing that comes in your mind is like a room sized computer. Okay, so if you want to see some of the mainframe operating system, you can go through some of the IITs. Even you can see in some of the big universities, like they have some mainframe systems found in major data centers. Also major data centers also contain some of the huge mainframe system. Okay, next is used by large corporations, major government agencies and universities. Also mainframe systems are used by universities for various research projects. Okay, by large corporations also, by major government agencies also. So what is mainframe system? Mainframe type of system is like it's different from normal computer, it's different from the laptop, it's different from the PC, personal computer that we are using. Okay, how it is different? It is different in terms of huge IO support and large data capacity. Because suppose that you want to do a research on large data problem, you want to do a research on some cancer disease or some other disease where you have to deal with DNA sequences or chromosomes, so that data is very large. Okay, so to handle those data, we cannot apply those algorithms, we cannot implement those algorithms in our local system. So for that, these mainframe systems are designed. So it aims to process many jobs at once. Like if you want to process many data, we want to process many data, many sample data, okay, parallelly, then we will use this mainframe operating system. These are the three kinds of services offered by this mainframe operating system. First is your batch, then second is your transaction processing, third is your time sharing. We will see why this batch operating, why these three things came into picture. Because let's see what is batch operating system. So batch operating system, you can see it's process routine jobs without presence of any user. Okay, so like punching cards or different types of scenarios where we use batch operating system, where we don't want user, we just give the input, we just collect abundant input first, just make a batch of inputs, just give the input to the system and wait for the output. The system will take some time, and after completion of all the processing, they will give the output. So that is known as the a batch operating system. If one job will be completed, then only other job will be scheduled. Okay, so the job is not going by one. We have compiled the job in such a manner that we have clubbed many problems into one, many processing into one, and just pass it into the system in a batch. Okay, so reason for adapting batch operating system is first is to reduce the time wastage in processing input and give output. We'll see later on in the next figure. High cost of equipment, because the cost of equipment is very high. This will be more clear when we'll go into our next slide and see some of the images. Like this is a scenario that I have included, like IBM 1401. IBM 1401 was good at reading cards, copying tapes and printing output, but was not good for numerical calculations. IBM 1401. Okay, and similarly IBM 7094 is more expensive than IBM 1401. IBM 7094 is more expensive than IBM 1401, but was good for real calculations. Okay, good for real calculations. IBM 1401 was not good for real calculations. IBM 7094 was good for real calculations. So we have clubbed both the systems in you can see in this next figure. Here this is 1401, this is 7094, and this is 1401. Okay, so what is a programmer is a programmer, this is an early you can say a history of how a batch operating system works. So here you can see an early batch system in which here this is a programmer. Okay, a programmer bring cards to 1401. They have compiled the programs in the cards and bring that cards onto 1401. 1401 reads batch of jobs onto tape. Okay, so these batch of jobs will be copied onto this tape. Okay, some tape or tape drives. Oh, after that this operator will take that input tape, this operator will take this input tape and pass it into 7094, which is very costly as compared to 1401. These are some of the processors. Okay, so this will do all the calculations. Okay, 7094 does the computing. After that the output is taken by some other operator. Okay, and then it is passed to the 1401 again for printing the cards. So this is the best example of where batch operating system were used. Generally now it is now generally people don't use this batch operating system. They use it in some smaller case scenarios, but not generally. This batch operating system is not generally used for nowadays. Now how a mainframe operates. So I have told you that three services should be provided by this mainframe operating system. So first was the batch operation, the second is transaction processing. So directly go on to the examples. Handle large number of small requests, like check processing in banks, airline reservations. So these are the best example of transaction processing. So each unit of work is less, but system has to handle hundreds or thousands of requests per second. Okay, so this is a transaction processing. And what is time sharing? Time sharing means generally if you are encountering a mainframe system should have all these three capabilities. Okay, but in time sharing you can see allow multiple remote users to run jobs on computer at once using time sharing manner. We will also see this time sharing when we will talk about multi-programming type of operating system. But yeah, if we are talking about mainframe operating system, it should provide all the three services like batch operations, transaction processing and time sharing. So once previous example of time sharing mainframe systems was OS 390 and OS descendant of OS 390. Okay, so now the next type of operating system is server operating system, which runs on server, which can be, what is a server? Which can be a personal computer. Okay, it can be a workstations or it can be a mainframe. So anything can behave like a server. So this server operating system, in some books you will find out that this has been written as distributed operating system, because both the things are you can relate to each other. These are in order to relate this, you can just connect this with the internet or some provide some communication among them. Okay, so these are serve multiple users at once over a network. So these server operating system are designed in such a manner, allow users to share software and hardware resources. On how user will share software and hardware resources, because of course it will be use some communication medium, either it should be a network or internet. Okay, so can provide print service, file service and web service. So these are some of the basic points when you talk about server operating system, or you are going to design some new server operating system or distributed system. The next type of operating system is multiprocessor operating system. So multiprocessor operating system was designed to increase the computing power or throughput. What is the throughput? The number of processes that are executed per unit time is called the throughput. Okay, or the number of processes that are being completed per unit time is called the throughput of the system. So just imagine that if you will increase the number of processors, so of course the throughput will be increased and the computing power of the system will be increased. So depending upon the connection and what is shared, the system are called parallel computers, multi-computer or multiprocessor. Okay, so this is a basic diagram of how a multiprocessor system looks like. Here you can see n number of CPUs are connected. This is a system bus. Okay, and this is a system bus, and memory is shared with among all the processors. Okay, this provides us the reliability, like suppose the CPU 1 fails, this CPU 1 fails, the system will not crash because it has many CPU apart from this CPU 1. So this is very reliable, and you can say fault tolerant system uses this multiprocessor system. So cost is less as compared to equivalent multiple single processor system, because you just think about, if you are using a single processor system, each processor should have their own memory, should have their own hard disk. But even when you are using multi-processor system, that means the memory and other things is shared among different CPUs. Okay, so various types of multiprocessor operating system are symmetric multiprocessor system, in which all the CPUs are in parallel mode, means all have the equal capability, all processors share same main memory and input output facilities. Okay, system is controlled by an integrated operating system. While in asymmetric multiprocessor system, a master processor controls the system, other processors wait for their instructions from the master, or they should have their own predefined task. Okay, so now the next type of operating system is multi-core operating system, like we are seeing these days i3, Intel Core i3, Intel Core i5, Intel Core i7. What does this mean? So this means that these two or more processors called cores on these are combined on a single piece of silicon called a die. Okay, so when you are talking about a i5 system, let's directly see on the example of, so each and every core will have their own arithmetic logic unit, pipeline hardware, control unit, and L1 instruction and data caches, L2 caches, and in some cases there are L3 caches. So let's take an example of i7 processor. So in Intel Core i7, which include 4x86 processors. So all these 4x86 processors are combined on a single silicon chip, that is called as a die, with a dedicated L2, means each and every 4x86 processor will have their own L2 caches and a shared L3 cache memory. So we will cache L1, L2, L3 cache we will see when we will discuss about the caching. Now multi-programming operating system. multi-programming operating system in which the CPU is only one, the processor is only one, but it allows n number of programs to be executed simultaneously. How? That will depend upon the degree of multi-programming. What is degree of multi-programming? The number of processes means program in execution. So, the number of processes that can reside in the main memory simultaneously, okay, that is called is your degree of multi-programming. So, the number of programs that can reside in the main memory at a time. Suppose let us see the diagram first. Okay, so here you can see job 1, job 2, job 3, job n. So, the degree of multi-programming is n here. So, it can accommodate, the main memory can accommodate n number of jobs at a time. Okay. So, these jobs you can consider it as a process, because the program in execution is called the process. So, process 1, process 2, process 3, process n. So, this will totally depend on the degree of multi-programming allowed. Okay. So, you can see this is a diagram. Here is the memory which contains n number of jobs, and this any job, but the thing is only one job will get the chance to be executed inside the CPU at once. Okay. And like even whatever the kind of job, there are two types of jobs. One is your CPU bound jobs, another is your input output bound jobs. So, if the process is CPU bound, then it will complete its execution and go out of the CPU and it will be terminated. But suppose if it is it requires some input output operation, it requires some input strings, okay, or it requires some output. So, it will go inside this IO wait, complete its waiting time, and then it will come to again into this job pool, and then again it will wait for the CPU. So, in this manner how multi-programming operating system are designed. This improved the CPU utilization and throughput of the system. Okay. For example, Windows and Unix is a kind of multi-programming type of operating system. Multitasking or time sharing. What is this multitasking or time sharing? It is an extension of multi-programming in which jobs will be executed in time sharing mode. Time sharing mode means job 1 will get the CPU for 2 seconds, it will come out, then job 2 will go inside the CPU, it will spend 2 seconds, then it will come out. So, in this manner, if the time is shared in between the jobs, then that is called as the time sharing or multitasking operating system. So, these are some of the, when we talk about handheld operating system, the first thing that comes in our mind is iOS, Android operating system. So, these handheld operating system are designed for only smaller systems, okay, like tablets, smartphones and other handheld devices. PDA, which is a history, now you can say the history of a phone, mobile phone is a PDA, personal digital assistant, is a small computer that can held in our hand in any operation. Okay. Examples are Google Androids, Apple iOS and Microsoft's Windows, Symbian. Okay, earlier we used to operate phones which was having an operating system Symbian, or RIM's BlackBerry. So, in among these three, Android, Apple iOS and BlackBerry is more famous as compared to the other type of operating system. Next type of operating system that we daily see in our vehicles, like if you are having a car, you can see that in your car there are inbuilt embedded systems that will show you the map, that will show you that the gate is open. Okay, so these kind of small operating systems are designed for a particular, for a specific task. Okay, so these do not accept user installed software. So, you cannot change the software that is telling you that your gate is open in your car. Okay, so these kind of things are called as embedded operating system. These kind of operating systems are called as embedded operating system. Okay, for example, we can find out these kind of operating system in microwave ovens, washing machines, TV set, car, iPod, etc. Okay. So, software is pre-recorded on ROM, it cannot be updated later on, it is designed in for doing some specific task, we cannot change it later on. Okay, like Google Androids, Apple iOS, and Microsoft Windows are also an example of embedded. Okay, no, sorry, I think this was for handheld system. Now let's see what are sensor node type of operating system. A sensor node operating system, these are tiny sensor nodes are deployed for numerous purpose. Generally these sensor node operating system are installed in places where we don't want any human intervention. We don't want that a human should sit there and watch whether a forest fire is happening or not. We just applied a system there, and that will tell us, with the help of some sensors, the operating system will inform us that at this location the fire has started. Okay, so this type of operating system is designed for that. These nodes are tiny computers. OS should be small due to little RAM and battery lifetime. Wireless communication is used for communication in between these nodes. Okay, used to protect perimeters of building, guard national borders, detect fires in forest, measure temperatures, weather forecasting, glean information about movement on battlefield, etc. So these are the places where we use this kind of operating system. Okay, each sensor is real computer with their own CPU, RAM, ROM, and one or more environmental sensors, which could be your smoke sensor, which could be your temperature sensor, anything. Have limited power, must work in outdoors for long period of time unattended. Means it should be designed in such a manner that, suppose if I am not going to check whether the system is running or not, I cannot go at that place. Okay, I just want the readings from there, I cannot go physically there. So this type of operating system is designed for such scenarios, where like you can see frequently in environmentally harsh conditions where we cannot move and go to collect the data. So these type of operating system is designed for such scenarios. Okay, the next and very important type of operating system is real time operating system. Systems which are strictly time bound, means to meet the time constraint, operating system are designed in such a manner that a time constant is the key parameter. Okay, so you can see meeting the time constant is the key parameter. Should not be any delay in execution of program. So this would be better clear when we will see the types of real time operating system. Here you can see hard real time operating system, where minor delay in execution of instruction can lead to huge catastrophic loss. Like suppose if you are going if you are inside a factory where car assembly is going on. So you can see suppose that a car is there, and car is moving on an assembly line, and there are different robots, some is putting some glasses, some is putting some tires on the car. Okay, and even a single delay or even a single time mismatch of any robot will lead to the loss of the car. Okay, similarly there are many other situations also, like missile launching system, satellite system. Even a single deadline miss can lead to huge catastrophic loss of what, life and cost. But in soft, like you can see the examples are satellite system, missile system, and even a car assembly that I have given now. In soft real time operating system, minor delay is acceptable, loss can be tolerable. It will we can tolerate the loss, it is not that much huge. Okay, so the real time operating system, generally in NASA or any other ISRO, the people uses this kind of operating system. So while designing a real time operating system, we must be aware of the time constraints. Okay, so soft real time system are, you can see the example are banking sectors, railway reservations, etc. Okay, so now this is the last type of operating system, which is your smallest operating system that runs on smart cards. So generally we use this on the smart card chips, credit card size devices containing CPU chips. Okay, and have severe processing power and memory constraints. Electronic payments, examples are electronic payments, and some cards are even inbuilt with Java oriented. ROM on card holds an interpreter for the Java virtual machine for compiling the Java applets. Some cards can handle multiple Java applets at the same time. So that's all for today lecture. These are the references. We will again meet in our next lecture, and that we will see about the how we can provide layered structure to an operating system, what are the operating system structure, how we can divide it in the layered approach, and what are the services of operating system. We will also see some of the basics of in detail. We will see in detail about the basic components of computer system. Thank you.